The story opens in a town where two men, Michael Stigman and Bobby, pull up in a car. Across the road, there is a small bank, and right beside it, a quiet little diner. Stig heads inside the diner first and starts flirting with the waitress. Meanwhile, Bobby walks across the street to the bank. He gets himself a safe deposit box, but his eyes are scanning everything, memorizing the layout, the exits, the timing. This isn't a visit, it's a setup. A few minutes later, Bobby joins Stig in the diner. They order some donuts, and then Stig excuses himself and disappears toward the back. Moments later, the fire alarm suddenly blares. Stig has sparked this alarm, and then he throws a lighter straight at the grill. Quickly, the oil catches fire, and within seconds, flames begin to spread. Bobby still stays composed through it all. Then the two of them walk out like nothing's wrong, just seconds before the place erupts and blows out the windows behind them. 1 week earlier, the same two men are on the road, heading toward the Mexico border. Their destination is a ranch owned by a drug lord named Manny Poppy Greco. They are there to meet a man called Toro. But Toro is already dead, killed by his boss, Poppy, after being accused of betrayal. So Bobby now deals with the boss himself.
I know a guy, Bobby.
That's correct. Therefore, I come to you. You the guy I know. That's why I told him.
He steps forward and hands over a bag filled with fake passports. It was a part of a deal that was supposed to get him cocaine in return. Instead, Poppy gives him cash. However, that's not what Bobby wants. He makes it clear that the deal was for drugs and not money, but Poppy refuses, saying trust is gone after the betrayal in his organization. So Bobby doesn't argue further. He simply hands the money back and tells Poppy to keep the passports. He adds that he needs cocaine only, and now Poppy owes him. Outside, Stig is standing with Poppy's men, who are attempting to shoot chickens buried in the ground with only their heads sticking out. None of them can hit their targets. Stig watches them and then mocks them openly. After that, he picks up a gun, and within seconds, he shoots each target with perfect precision. On their way back to the United States, their car is suddenly stopped at the border by armed officers. Here, they are arrested and questioned separately. Here, it is revealed that Bobby is not just a criminal. He is working undercover as a DEA agent. The drugs he was supposed to receive from Poppy were meant to be evidence. But since that plan failed, his superior, Jessup, is ready to pull him out of this mission.
Where'd you have the cocaine?
There was no cocaine. Poppy offered me cash.
But Bobby says that he is close to cracking the case and just needs more time. That's why, reluctantly, Jessup gives him 2 weeks. Later, Bobby meets another DEA agent, Deb, at a motel, and it is revealed that they are actually in a secret relationship. Here, Bobby explains a new plan. Since the drug deal failed, he wants to go after Poppy through his money. There's a bank holding millions in his name, and if they rob it, they can expose everything, including money laundering. He asks Deb to make sure the DEA shows up right after the robbery. She agrees to follow the plan too.
I need you.
You want to rob a bank?
No, Stig wants to rob the bank. What I want is access to that money.
Not long after, Bobby meets Stig again and tells him he's in on the bank job. The next day, the plan starts. They begin watching Poppy closely, tracking his movements, especially his border crossings. The story now returns to the present. Bobby connects with Deb and makes sure everything is aligned. At precisely 3:05, she promises agents will move in and take Stig into custody. On paper, everything looks perfectly controlled. But somewhere else, Stig is also having a meeting. Across town, he meets some men from the military. It is revealed that Stig is not just a partner in crime, but also an undercover agent. He is working with naval intelligence, and his mission is to secure funding for covert operations.
The bank falls right tomorrow? Good, just put the uniform back on, sir. Tomorrow, clean and precise. Yes, sir.
The next morning, both men gear up, cover their faces, and instead of heading straight for the bank, they enter the local police station first. The officers barely have time to react before they are overpowered and locked up with their own prisoners. With law enforcement completely neutralized, the town is left defenseless. Then they enter the bank, capture the guards, take control, and open the vault. Everything is going exactly according to plan, but the money inside is far more than expected. This is not $3 million as expected, but it is $43 million. For a brief moment, both of them just stare as they are trying to process what they are looking at. Bobby's eyes immediately shift to the clock and they start loading everything into their vehicle, bag after bag. Bobby keeps waiting for sirens, as Deb was supposed to bring the authorities, but nothing happens. The streets stay empty and no backup arrives. They drive away without resistance. Elsewhere, a man named Earl steps into the picture and confronts the bank manager. Actually, this money does not belong solely to criminals. Higher authorities are also involved.
Greedy, selfish.
They took my key. I would never willingly open the vault.
That's just the guilty?
Out in the desert, Bobby and Stig finally stop to assess what they have taken. The tension that has been building between them reaches its peak. Both are thinking the same thing, and both act on it almost simultaneously. Stig pulls his gun and gets the upper hand by shooting at Bobby's shoulder. However, Bobby cannot retaliate immediately, but instead, he reveals his DEA badge. Seeing this, Stig freezes for a second as he tries to process it. He was told Bobby was a criminal, and he needed to be eliminated at the end of the mission. But now the truth looks different. Orders say kill him, but instinct says otherwise.
Oh! And I had to.
No, you didn't. Yeah, DEA. Hey.
Eventually, he leaves him there, wounded but alive, with a bottle of water. Then Stig takes the money and moves on. He delivers it to his commanding officer, Quince, at a hotel. However, Quince shows no surprise upon hearing that Bobby is with the DEA. But he seems more annoyed that Stig did not kill Bobby. He informs him that the money will be moved to a naval base in Corpus Christi. Then, without wasting time, he prepares a team to go back and kill Bobby this time. Meanwhile, Bobby is still out in the desert. He pushes himself forward until he runs into a pair of border patrolmen. They try to question him, but Bobby disarms them with ease, takes their vehicle, and escapes. From there, he manages to reach a place where he can finally treat his wound. Back at the desert site, Quince and his team arrive expecting to find a body. Instead, they find nothing. That is when Quince turns against Stig, and now he becomes the target. But Stig reads the situation fast and reacts even faster. A chase begins between Stig and the naval officers. But Stig tricks them among the big rocks and flees by taking one of the vehicles. At this point, both Stig and Bobby finally understand the truth. They were never partners in the same mission. They were sent into the same game by different players. On the other hand, Earl tracks down the doctor who treated Bobby's gunshot wound. At first, the doctor pretends that he knows nothing, but Earl does not rush. He turns it into a twisted game, forcing the doctor into a brutal round of Russian roulette. Under that kind of pressure, the doctor admits Bobby was there.
You ever play Russian roulette?
Oh, no, come on, man.
But that is all he knows, and it is enough for Earl. At the same time, Bobby follows Deb to a hotel, knowing she is there to meet someone else. He interrupts her before anything happens. Bobby senses that something is wrong, but he does not push too hard. Instead, he tells her he is heading to meet his boss to report everything. Unluckily, Earl has already reached there first. When Bobby arrives, Earl is inside with Jessup, questioning him. The moment Bobby steps in, a gunshot breaks the silence, and Jessup goes down. Before Bobby can react, he is dragged into the same deadly game. Earl forces him into Russian roulette, turning it into a test of luck and control. Bobby survives the round, but Earl then uses Bobby's own weapon to fire multiple shots into Jessup, making it look like Bobby pulled the trigger. That's how Bobby is framed for the murder of his own superior. Earl makes his demand clear. He wants the money back, and if Bobby brings it back, he is clear to go.
$5 million. Incentivized you?
After that, Bobby heads straight to Stig's apartment, but the place is empty. What he does not see immediately is that Stig is already watching him, positioned on a rooftop across the street, looking through the scope of a military-grade rifle. In that moment, Stig talks to Bobby on the phone and reveals everything. Bobby is not the enemy he thought he was. The orders he followed and the assumptions he made no longer hold up. Just then, a hit squad arrives, sent by Stig's own commanding officer. There is no time to argue or explain, so instead of finishing Bobby, Stig helps him escape. For the first time, they are on the same side, but only for a brief time. The next day, Bobby tracks down Poppy at his mistress's house. The plan is simple: grab him and force him to answer about Earl and whose money it was. But Stig also arrives there in search of Poppy.
Man, get in there. Get in there.
I got a 44. I'm taking Poppy. Give me the keys.
And a wild chase ensues between Stig and Bobby, which leads them into the desert while Poppy is still in the trunk. Along the way, the tension between Bobby and Stig finally explodes into a full fight. Both of them have been lied to, used, and pushed into something bigger than they understood. Eventually, they stop fighting because they realize they have to work together if they want to escape this situation.
DEA officer Bobby Trench, but I guess you know that already.
Well, like we're working together?
No, not like we're working.
Yeah!
Hey,
Then they bring Poppy to a garage to question him, and the garage here actually belongs to Deb. Here, Poppy starts talking and reveals that Earl is not just some random player. He is CIA, and the money they stole is not just drug money. It belongs to the CIA. Suddenly, Stig senses movement nearby. He spots it just in time as another hit team has arrived. Before they can react, the team attacks and opens fire on Stig and Bobby. In the chaos, Poppy manages to escape. Now, there is no time to chase him, so they let him go. Bobby, Stig, and Deb jump into a car and try to get out of there. Inside the car, Bobby starts questioning Deb directly. He wants to know how naval officers were able to find them so easily. The role of Deb is now in question. Then suddenly, a heavy truck slams straight into them. Within seconds, they are surrounded by Poppy's men who have taken control. The next thing they know, they are back at Poppy's ranch, hanging upside down inside a barn. Poppy first hits them with a bat and then uses his bull to torture them both. Eventually, Stig and Bobby say that they are ready to bring the money to Poppy if he leaves them.
Where is it? Commander Quint's safe, Corpus Christi Naval Air Station.
That's the truth. I might as well just keep...
The moment that number is spoken, 43 million, Poppy's focus shifts. Now it is not just about revenge, it is about profit. But before anything is finalized, Poppy is called away as someone else has arrived. And it is actually Earl himself. Now, two powerful players are in front of each other, both wanting the same thing, money. However, Earl's attitude only makes things worse. Poppy does not like being talked down to, and in that moment, he makes a decision of his own. He wants the money for himself now, so he doesn't tell Earl anything about Stig and Bobby and lets him go from there. When Poppy returns to Bobby and Stig, he gives them 24 hours. They bring back the money or Deb dies. The clock starts ticking. After everything that happens at the ranch, Bobby and Stig move fast.
The truck will take you north of the border. From there, you'll cross. I'll meet you north of the border in 24 hours. 24 hours to bring me the money.
Once they cross back into the United States, they steal a car. Stig is convinced the money is at a naval base because Quince had mentioned it earlier during their meeting. Before heading there, they make a quick stop at an old Navy contact of Stig. They pick up extra weapons and gear. When they reach the base, Stig drives straight through the gate in a reckless move. The chaos it creates is exactly what they need. He drops Bobby near Quince's office and takes off, drawing all the attention toward himself. Military police units chase him across the base while Bobby slips inside. After some time, Stig reaches the Admiral and lays everything out. He tells the full story of the robbery at Quince's order. At the same time, Bobby confronts Quince in his office. However, here Bobby realizes that Quince is personally connected to Deb, and the money is not there. That changes everything. If the money is not here, then it means Deb has it. On the other hand, the Admiral listens to Stig, but refuses to get dragged into the situation. He makes it clear that the Navy will not be publicly tied to this mess. He gives orders that Stig is to be kicked off the base. Meanwhile, Bobby creates an explosion to distract everyone and uses the chaos to get out. Grabbing a military vehicle, he races back as he is desperate to reach Deb before it is too late. Back at the ranch, Deb understands her situation clearly. She knows there is no real way out for her. When Poppy questions her, she tells him that Bobby does not know where the money is. Even if he did, it would not matter as Poppy never planned to let them live. Then the phone rings and Poppy hands it to Deb. On the other end, Bobby tries to hold on, tries to convince her to say anything that might buy time, but Deb apologizes, and just then, Poppy pulls the trigger. Bobby hears the gunshot on the phone call. Later, he meets Stig again at the same shop they visited before. Stig is ready for war. He wants revenge, wants to take everyone down. But Bobby is different now. The fight in him is gone as losing Deb hits deeper than anything else. He returns home, exhausted and broken. There, he finds Deb's body. Though Bobby is still in shock, something small catches his attention. The ring Deb always wore. She used to switch it from one hand to the other whenever she left him at the motel. That memory suddenly clicks. It is not just a habit, it is a clue. Bobby rushes back to that motel room. Searching carefully, he finally finds it. The money is hidden inside the baseboard beneath the bed. Deb had it all along, exactly where no one would think to look. Now Bobby contacts Earl and sets up a meeting.
Our deal still stand? I give you the money, I walk away clean?
At the same time, Stig heads straight to Poppy's ranch, alone. He brings the getaway car with him and claims the money is in the trunk. It is a dangerous move, one man walking into a place full of armed enemies. But he is not completely alone. Quince arrives as well, leading a team. He is also convinced by Stig that he will get the money here. Then Earl arrives too, this time from the air by a helicopter, stepping in like he owns the entire operation. Everyone is there now. All that is missing is the money. That is when Bobby shows up. He arrives in a car packed with cash, making it clear that he has what everyone wants. For a brief moment, it looks like a deal might actually happen. Stig and Bobby are supposed to walk away free, and Earl would fight with both Poppy and Quince to get his money back. But Bobby has other plans. While walking away, he detonates the car. The explosion sends money flying everywhere. Seeing this, gunfire erupts from all sides. In the chaos, Poppy is hit, his men start falling, and one by one, the field clears until only a few remain. Earl tries to talk his way out, claiming this loss means nothing, but it is already too late. Bobby and Stig exchange a look, and eventually Stig kills Earl. At the same time, Bobby eliminates Quince. Before leaving, they make sure Poppy does not survive either, and put some more bullets in him. As they walk away, Bobby settles one last score. He shoots Stig in the leg just to even things out for what happened earlier in the desert. Sometime later, they are together again, sitting in another small-town diner, looking at another bank across the street. Stig casually asks about the donuts. Bobby smiles slightly and pulls out a thick stack of cash for a tip. Bobby finally tells that he did not destroy all the money. He kept a portion hidden, knowing no one would ever count it properly in the chaos.